Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. I'm Rob Finnerty. The world continues to react to yesterday's leaked Supreme Court draft challenging the future of Roe v. Wade with what could be a possible 5-4 decision to overturn the landmark 1973 ruling. For more on this, let's welcome in member of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee in Oklahoma, Senator James Lankford. Senator, great to have you back on. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you again as well.
Unbelievable when this news broke around 8:30 Eastern time on Monday night. Senator, right now there are basically two issues. One, of course, is the leak, and the other, the bigger issue, is Roe and how abortion is going to be treated here in the U.S. moving forward if this decision does become final. What do the American people need to know right now if this is, in fact, the court's decision?
So if this is, in fact, the court's decision, obviously we have a draft that is from February, so a lot can change during that time period. Well, when they put out their final decision, it looks like they're going to actually say states have the right, as they should have always had, to be able to protect the lives of children in their state. It doesn't outlaw abortion across the country. It moves the battle state to state. So in my state, in Oklahoma, we're going to protect every single child. In other states, they're going to say we're going to have abortion all the way up until the time of birth. But that decision is going to be made state to state. We'll have the same argument here on the federal side as well. So what basically the court said is the court should have never decided Roe in 1973. This should have always been in legislatures like it was before. In the 50-year time period during Roe is the anomaly of the almost 250-year history of the United States when they had it right before Roe to say states make this decision, legislatures make the decision, the people decide when life begins, not courts.
Yeah, and this all spans from this Mississippi case where they want to prevent abortion after 15 weeks in the state of Mississippi. We've talked about this before. According to most polls, right around 70% of the American people are for keeping Roe in place, but most also agree that there should be a viability date. Could that be the way we get through this?
Yeah, every single state will do this different. Again, my state will do it different than maybe Mississippi or Colorado or New York or California. The people of that state will gather together. That's why I think it's going to energize so many people to say, now I get to choose in this because I get to actually talk to my elected officials and to be able to encourage them how to be able to vote, and then we'll start actually bringing this out. It's not done by a court that's unelected. It's done by the people through their representatives. But, yeah, every state's going to do it a little bit differently, and they're going to resolve it differently.
Yeah, and 26 states right now are in the process of doing something like that right now. Several states, though, have codified Roe v. Wade. I want to talk about this leaker. I don't think it's getting enough attention. How big a deal is a leak like this at the Supreme Court, regardless of how you feel about Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, it is an enormous issue in the Supreme Court. This is someone who's violated the trust of the court that will destroy the interplay between the justices for a very long time. Right now, the justices have very open conversation. Their staffs have an open conversation, those law clerks, to be able to talk about the cases. They pass around drafts freely because they know that it's not going to go outside that. No draft will ever be leaked until now. So this person not only is destroying the court and the future of the court and how we'll actually operate, they're destroying this conversation in the country that should be about an opinion that's resolved, not about a draft. So they're actually stirring the nation up even more, making a bad situation worse.
Just 6 months ahead of the midterms, what do you think the lasting effects are here? If this vote is final and it's a 5-4, razor-thin margin in the Supreme Court, do you think the left is going to say, well, listen, they just overturned Roe v. Wade. It's been in place for 49 years. We've got to pack the court. We've got to go from 9 justices to 14. Do you think that's something the Democrats will try to do?
No, I think there'll be some Democrats that'll do that, but that's going to be the far extreme left. I think the vast majority of the American people do not agree with court packing on it, even for things they may like on it. They don't agree with the court packing. So I think that's going to be the very partisan far left on this. What I think is going to happen is the American people are going to engage. Conservatives are going to turn out in droves across the country, especially in state races, because now they have the opportunity to be able to speak out to protect life.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see if younger voters, younger Democrats, pro-choice voters drive out to the polls as well because of this. Again, the midterms 6 months away. Senator, look forward to having you back on. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
You bet. Look forward to seeing you.